And the three shepherds, they looked at each other. Sadly. For they knew Nob very well. He lived down in a small hut, down at the end of the village. A little pigsty with 12 children. And his wife, who was famous for being a scold. Worse than that. Once or twice she had whipped him to the village until he was naked and screaming. And once she had held him under water and boiled him. They'd been talking something then, but nobody had ever done anything. And they felt sorry for him. But they knew other things about him too. It was Cobb who said it. No. Move on. Look, you say it would be murder to have you here, but I will tell you what would be sure of murder. If you stay, the demons that are inside you, they would raise up, and you would steal one of those sheep. And you know what will happen. We won't save you this time. And the magistrate said next time you'd be on. Move on. And Nob burst into tears once again. Floods of tears, saying, I'm so cold and so lonely, please take pity on me. I'll tell you what we'll do, said Bob, kindly. You lie down, and we'll all lie on top of thee so you can't move, and we'll all go to sleep that way. And then it won't matter if the demon's raising you, you won't be able to do anything. And that was what they did. They pinned him down and went to sleep on him. Well, in the middle of the night, long after the moon had set, Nob woke up, and he tried to move. And you know, he couldn't move anything more than his right hand. And that only a fraction. Oh, but it was enough. He put it in his pocket, and he pulled out a little wizard thing, perhaps a mummified monkey's footprint, or baby's hand. And he muttered, Alakazam, Alakazam. The breathing of his three fellows grew more regular, as if nothing would wake them. He put the charm back in his pocket, if that's what it was, and struck up. And then he looked around with a wolfish look, putting on his cloak. And he made a grab at the nearest fat rat. Bear! It ran away, and there was a ewe. He reached to grab that. Meh! It ran away. And now he looked at the flock as they scattered with a fiendish expression. But still almost unwillingly, he reached with his left hand into his left pocket, and he pulled out the severed hand, the hand of some thief, a great charm one way or t'other, steel. He pointed it at the nearest little lad, and it froze. He picked it up, and he ran down to his hut. And he knocked on the door, and his wife came out and said, Why are you here? I told you not to come back unless you've got something for me. And he said, Well, look at this. And he gave her the lamb. She picked it up and said, Oh, he's fat. Oh, that's not bad. I can make a hat out of that. You weren't seen, were you? No. I used the charms you gave me. They'll suspect mine. But if you use those properly, they'll be asleep till noon. No power on God's earth could wake them before them. And by then, my dear, we'll have done what we have to do. And she tethered the lamb up by the fire. And the pair of them went to bed. And didn't wait till morning. Well, back up on the hill, in the blue light before morning, Cobb, Bob, and Rob, they all woke up. And they yawned and looked at each other sleepily and said, You know, I had such a funny, queer old dream. I dreamt that I was in a choir of shining folk singing Hosanna about a lord or something. And then they all laughed, for they'd all had the same dream. And then Rob said, I wonder if Nob had it. What are you here? What are you here? It was Cobb again who said, Let's check the sheep. Well, they missed the lamb straight away. Oh, let's get it over with, said Cobb. If we're lucky, it can be on before night. I don't like doing it, but it's the 10th time. Can't see them again. And they went down the hill to the little hut where Nob lived. Knock, knock, knock on the front door when Nob woke up. Hang on, he said. He heard Cobb calling, Open up, we know what you got in there. Open up, we're not going to save thee. What are we going to do, said Nob. Like at the back, said his wife. But then there was a knock, knock, knocking on his back door, and Rob's voice called out, Come on, open up, please, don't make it worse. What am I going to do, said Nob. Well, I know what's going to happen to thee. You're going to be hung, said his wife, for stealing that sheep. And Nob desperation, had a sudden idea. He grabbed the little lamb. He pulled out the child from his right-hand pocket. He waved it on it, thinking, saying, and hoping, against hope, it works with sheep. And the lamb seemed to go floppy. He then took it, and he laid it in his crib, the crib that his most recent baby had occupied, and wrapped it in swaddling clothes. And it lay there, sleeping. And he opened the front door. And in came Cobb, Rob, and Bob. And they examined the hut. They looked here, they looked there, they looked everywhere. They woke up all the children, but they couldn't find the sheep. And then Nob's wife turned to them and said, "I hope you are proud of yourselves coming in here, waking us up early in the morning. How dare you? I've got a good mind to take you to the magistrates yourselves." And the three shepherds looked around, very embarrassed. And then Rob suddenly realised the crib was full. And he went up and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, I didn't know you were expecting a baby. Did that happen? Did it happen?" And Rob's wife said, "Oh yes, it came over all sudden last night. I wasn't expecting it at all. Nobody announced it. That's why I had to send Nob off." "Ooh, hey, it's a bit airy." "Oh, it's my daughter! It takes after me! Don't insult an honest woman!" said Nob's wife. And Rob was so embarrassed. He reached into his cloak and he pulled out a beautiful carved staff. And he said, "I've been carving this for days now. I was going to sell it at the marketplace, but why don't you have it for the child, a bit walk?" And not to be outdone, Bob reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 silver pennies. And he said, "I'll tell you what, when the bit in is less busy, why don't you go down and drink your baby's health with this? Do it properly this time for us." And even Carl looked thoughtful. And he said, "I got something for it." And he reached into his pocket and he pulled out a little necklace. And he said, "These are aniseed drops. We use them on our lambs. They go crazy for them. And I bet a baby will do the same, this little lamb." And he put it over the head of the child, of the sleeping form. "Bear!" Suddenly the lamb woke up. It did go crazy for it. It struggled out of the swaddling clothes. "Bear!" All to see. Cobb turned on Nob and said, "We want thee. We want thee. You're going to be hung." And for the second time that night, Nob burst into floods of tears. "Please don't hang me!" he cried. And the 3 shepherds, hard men as they were, looked around. They looked around at the 12 crying children, the nagging wife, the mean hut, and a compassion like they had never felt before filled their hearts. Strange to say, it was Cobb who said it. "All right. We won't have the young, but we're not going to let you off easily." He grabbed Nob's legs, and Bob and Rob grabbed his arms, and they threw him in the air, and everything fell out of his pockets, including the 2 charms that fell in the fire. Burned. 10 times they threw him in the air, caught him, and threw him in the air and caught him, once for each of the commandments, till his nose bled and his arms ached. And at the end of it, Cobb said, "Hopefully that will cure you of your demons." And they went back up the hill. But you know, out by the rock where their fire was, they saw that they were not alone. There were 2 shining figures there. And the figures said, "You are most beloved of God, for you have shown compassion to a thief on this night of all nights. And now we will show you a wonder, for unto you a child has been born." And the angels led the shepherds down to a little stable by the inn. And there first amongst mortals, it said, they worshipped the baby Jesus, giving him the staff, the 2 coins, and the aniseed drops. They had meant to be given Nob's child. And they left, singing praises to God. And it was said in after days, they became first amongst Christians, as they had been first amongst Jesus' worshippers, even if their names are now forgotten. And not, strange to say, maybe it was the wonders of those times, or maybe it was the bumps, because he did turn over a new leaf. He did his best. He stopped stealing. Okay, he was never wealthy, and okay, his wife's temper was always uncertain. But by and large, even he lived to be a happier, more prosperous